Yo, what's good, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy, A. Michael, and I'm here with a very special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
Yo, what's good? Name is Ricardo on this side. Some people call me Ricky. Just don't call me Shirley. We about to get it popping here with A Michael. Be sure you like and subscribe to the channel. This is a good friend of mine from the barn. That's where we met at actually.
Yeah.
So
Man,
yeah.
man, let me say, I ain't gonna front with y'all. All right, I've been wanting to do this interview because this man right here, has inspired me a lot. Through like his Facebook posts. I recommend, y'all check his stuff out. But man, I kind of just wanted to hop into like a little serious question, man. Cause I personally want to know. Man, go ahead and tell us a little bit about your story. Maybe you give a little bit about your testimony and just stuff like that, man.
Okay, but that is an open-ended question. But I guess for me right now at 27, there's just been a lot of different things that have happened in life that have just helped me to grow. I mean, I don't believe necessarily everything there is meant for me to go. I think sometimes things are just bad and there's not too much that you can do about it besides you press forward through those different things and you get to a point where you can really recenter yourself because I look at life in a way that nothing's ever going to just always be good or always be bad. There's always going to be a point where it recenters back into the middle. And those are the different points in time where you can really grow and manifest a lot of different things, whether it be, spiritually, physically, or whatnot. It's just a matter of taking advantage of that time. So that's mainly what I've been doing here now. Um, as far as testimony is concerned, depends on like how far are we going back? What exactly are you trying to know?
So kind of just like where did it start from? For how I look at it, I normally ask people in like a 3 point method. It's like where did it start from? How was it going? Like because I like myself. Like getting into it, like it was kind of hard at first. So like how did it start? How was it going? And where is it at now?
Okay, I got you. Um, well, for me, I grew up in a Christian household. That's what we did. A lot of I guess if I were to go back and think, my mom, she's raised, I guess, kind of Catholic in that or apostolic in that area. I think dad was more Anglican at that point. But regardless, I grew up in a very Christian household. Um, had a lot of different. I didn't know a lot of my different family because as far as where I come, well, I was born here, but my mom is from Tanzania. My dad's from Mozambique, both Coast Africa countries. So I'm first generation here. So that comes, on top of being in a Christian household, I'm also in an African household. So we had a lot of different just prayer warriors on my mom's end. And I would say we have a couple prayer warriors on my dad's end too. But as far as like my own faith, I never really felt that presence of God in my younger years, simply for the fact that a lot of my faith was really just based on like, well, I believe in God because my parents believe in God, and
Mm,
I have to go to church, so I guess God is real.
yeah.
It was never really my own thing. So even um, back when I was going to church at Inglewood, all these different kids would have these different stories about like, oh, well, I've had my come to Jesus moment. I've really felt the Holy Spirit. And I never really felt that.
Mm,
But I don't know. I don't know if it was just necessarily the culture or just, just feeling pressured to have that story. But I've made up a come to Jesus story
mm,
when I was younger. I didn't really feel God at that point, but I was just like, well, I don't want to be the only kid in, my Wednesday church group that hasn't had one, so I guess I'm gonna, come out and be like, yeah, this is my moment. And I don't know, it felt very my faith felt very fake for a long, long, long time until I got into high school.
Mm.
I got into high school, just I was dealing with a lot of different things. I was dealing with a lot of different depressions. Well, not a lot of different depressions, but just I was dealing with a lot of depression about a lot of different situations in life at that point in time. Home life wasn't really great,
Mm.
but you couldn't go out and let people know that home life wasn't really great. So I had one mask for like school, one mask for church, another mask for at home. Like it was just there's never really a time where I felt like I was truly myself until I was by myself.
Mm.
Even then, I didn't even like really know who I was. And sophomore year came around, and it's probably one of the toughest years of my life because it just seemed like everything was coming to a big climax. There was a big culmination of just, well, you're not doing great in school. We don't know why. Um, at church, I wasn't really super active in there, and there's a lot of just different things happening at that one point. Just even school, you had a lot of different. I won't necessarily say her name, but the principal at the school that I was at the time, she wasn't very helpful
Mm.
either. And I understand that she has a job to do, but there was a certain point where things felt like they weren't handled in a very professional principal to student manner for me,
Yeah.
and that just kind of added on to the pile. And at that point in time, the only thing that was really keeping me grounded was uh, a well, a friend of mine that lived down the street from my parents' house. She would come up with her dog. I won't say her name because I don't want to embarrass her, but she would come up with her German Shepherd, and we talk. And that was one of the few times where I really felt free. I didn't really do a whole lot of the prayer stuff unless I was at church, and then of course, like, yeah, then you gotta pray, you gotta do the big, like, all that. So of course at that I didn't really do that for me. I didn't see a point.
Mm.
She was the she was the center of my universe at that point, which was, now that I look back at it, I'm like, damn, I shouldn't have I done that. That was not a smart thing to do, but 15-year-old me needed a place, and she was a great place. And I still remember it like it was yesterday. I remember just I had unrealistically put so much on her without her like knowing. Like it wasn't like me telling her. It's just like I had so many different expectations, and she quite literally became like my savior.
Mm.
I mean, that wasn't a position that she asked for, and it's not like we were even dating at that point in time. It's just she was the one good thing in my life at that point, and I, me being immature at that point in time, just I put a lot of stuff into that. So we ended up. She was my first kiss. I ended up. I think it was like Christmas Eve or something, because I remember she was dressed up. She was getting ready to go somewhere. I think she was in a green dress, and she had a leather jacket on. I remember I had a red button down, black pants. Was getting ready to go to church, and one of the most magical moments of my life. But it was quickly torn down
Mm.
whenever he messaged me and was just like, "Hey, um, wasn't really comfortable with that. Like it was kind of weird. Like we were friends and all and whatnot, but like there was just it was a long message. It was really sweet. It was really sweet, but it was like at that point in time, it's like that was like the last thing that just kind of broke the camel's back.
Mm.
And just to preface, it's like the next particular portion of this testimony is not, I didn't do what I did because I got rejected. I did what I did because there was a lot of stuff that I was not properly handling at that point in time and didn't have any proper guidance on how to handle at that point in time.
Mm.
And not I guess not to sound cheesy and not to sound disrespectful, but that was kind of like my 13th reason at that point. Like
Mm.
I already had a whole bunch of different things happen at that point in time that I won't necessarily get into, but I had a
Yeah.
whole lot of different things happening at that point in time that just weren't good, and I wasn't getting myself out of that hole in any way, shape, or form. I was just kind of looking up and seeing a light, and then saw that the light was gone,
Mm.
and that was kind of it. So it it's been my that was my first and only attempt to end my own life.
Mm.
At that, um, I still don't know how I never got caught because I shared a room with my middle brother, and for whatever reason, like I don't remember what time of night it was. I know it was nighttime, but for whatever reason, nobody needed me for anything. No one was calling me downstairs. Um, my brother was doing something. I don't know what he was doing, but he wasn't in the room. I know that for sure. And man, I tore the hell up out my arms for sure.
Mm.
It was just not. It was not a good thing at the
Yeah.
time. You know, I was feeling that particular pain,
Mm-hmm.
but now looking back at it, it's not obviously it wasn't a good thing. But in that moment, it felt very good to feel released, to feel real
Mm-hmm.
that point in time. And I mean, it felt so easy after I had made it all like up my forearms. It felt so easy just to continue.
Mm.
And at that point in time, it's like, well, I've seen it in different movies. I've seen it. I've heard about it being done. I could slit my own wrist right now, and that's it. Like we could go ahead and get this done and over with.
Mm.
But I was there trembling, and I just hear just a small voice in my head that's just like, stop. And I don't hear it well at first, but I hesitate because I'm hearing something. I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm hearing something telling me to stop. So I breathe for a moment, and sometimes all you need is a moment.
Yeah.
So I tried again with the my wrist, the other side, and it just kept getting louder.
Mm.
And then finally, like when I held the knife up to my neck, it was like a very kind of audible, like, stop. Why are you hurting my masterpiece?
Mm. Mm.
And just the very at that point in time, like I just laid in my bed and cried at that point.
Mm.
I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But I remember that it got me to a point where I was like, as far as God is concerned, I was like, there's gotta be somebody out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's got to be. Because who else would, like, I wasn't telling myself to stop. And certainly with all the different situations in my life at that point in time, the people a part of those weren't telling me to stop.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
it's gotta be God. And I mean, I didn't get better overnight. It took some time, and the pastor that I had at the time, really good guy, really love where he's at now. His name's I don't know if he's still going to be in the ministry field, but he's Father Brian, very great guy. And honestly, he he provided that much needed father figure guidance that
Mm.
I didn't have at that time.
Yeah.
And he taught me about God in ways that really resonated with me. It wasn't that he cherry picked like this verse here and that verse here. He was just like, these are my experiences that I've had with God, and I'm going to share these with you. Let me bring you into the fold. And I mean, from there, this just kind of like my faith has definitely matured in different ways now.
Mm-hmm.
But that was definitely the catalyst where I was like, all right, yeah, there's some power here. When we're talking about God, there's power here.
Yeah.
So that's where I was at that point in time. Where I'm at now, um, I'm definitely a big believer in God.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm I'm more of a like I don't accept that everything out there is real. Like you're not gonna sit here and tell me like, oh, unicorns are real, so therefore gotta be real. But I believe that a lot of different faiths pull from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know where they pull from, but it's an interesting portion for me to research. But I believe in Abrahamic God, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Where whether Zeus or anything like that were to exist, I don't know those different things. But even if they were to exist, I'm just like, well, we still got God. We still got God with the
Mm-hmm.
capital G, little, not the lowercase. Oh, we got big. That's who I'm serving. That's who I'm praying.
I respect
Every
that.
big God.
Oh God, I respect that. And for those who don't know what he's talking about, I made a post earlier. I was at the eye doctor, man, and I just got hit. It was like, look, you see all these Facebook posts, people putting God with the lowercase g. I'm like, nah, man. If you go put God in your caption or your post, make that G capital. He deserves that respect. Oh
Right, right.
man, I respect that. I respect that for real. And man, that testimony right there. Please don't ever belittle yourself, because that right there is powerful. Because there's a lot of stuff that you said that I resonated with. When you were going into the part where you were harming yourself. And then you heard that voice in your head. I wanted to stop you right there and be like, look, bro, I got chills on my arm, because I've been through that. That's kind of how it was for me. Not so much, the cutting of the wrist, but it was like, I'm very big on sightseeing. Like I love looking at like sunsets. So the
Yeah.
area that I'm in, there's gullies, and I've always loved going to the gullies and looking out, because, some gullies, they could be really deep and look like they're not. Uh, and that's kind of how it was for me. I was looking out there, man. And I was so depressed. I was beating myself up, and it's like I could jump right now, and it's
Mm.
at least a 20 feet drop, and that's it. I know that I could jump right now, and it's game over. But that little voice in my head kicked in, and like you said, this is where it clicked. I wasn't telling myself no. I was going full force with it. I was like, you know what, this is how it's gonna be. All right, cool. I had nobody else telling me not to, cause well, nobody knew. But
Yeah.
God, that voice in my head, God was like, look, don't do it. I have a purpose and a plan for you. But man, that you were talking. I was like, oh man, I got goosebumps.
Mm.
Golly. So I kind of want to hop into this, because basically to talk about how we met. And I'm not gonna lie to y'all. All right. So the place that we met, it's at the church that I go to now. It's called the Barn, and man, let me tell you, if you want to go get rocked, I mean, oh man, it is a place. It is a place. But I started going there in March of last year, and at the time I was getting to know people there, like Noah, and basically the main pastor's family. But Noah brought Ricardo, and that's kind of where I met both of them at. And I could just tell. I could just tell. All right. As soon as I met Ricardo, I was like, man, this man is chill. He is cool. I'm gonna get along with him. He needs to start coming more often. Because so like, and the only reason why I said it is because he was the only person to shake my hand. A lot of people just gave me like fist bumps, stuff like that. Like this man straight up shook my hand. I'm like, man, you different. I like it. He shook my hand, man, and we just started talking. And I could tell that just by talking with him that his passion for mental health is beyond. It's way more than I am, and I've made like 4 videos about mental health, But for Ricardo, and what kind of struck my interest is his passion for mental health itself, and how I'm still waiting to do it. I'm trying to get some free time, but go to that. It's called what's it called again? It starts with a P. You go to it all the time.
Henson Mount.
There you go. There you go.
That's
I'm trying to go there because like I said, I love sightseeing, and apparently it's beautiful there, and I'm down to go check it out. But so if you could talk a little bit about how we met, how our friendship has grown, so people ain't just hearing it from me,
right.
and then we'll see where the conversation takes us.
Okay, I'm down. I'm down. Now, I will admit, I almost didn't come. I'm not even gonna lie to you, because the Noah invited me to church for a long time. He's like, bro, you gotta come to the barn. Great place. It's chill. I'm like, I ain't really into the church right now, because I don't know, big church for me right now is no, some of y'all slipping for real. Y'all talking about the word of God, but you talking about the word of you. So I gotta kind of step back. But for whatever reason, I'd gone through, which I can't get too much into the situation since it's kind of an ongoing case, but kind of the very beginning of like separation from my ex-wife at this point, and that was just a big change for me because been married to her for 4 years at this point, and the way that I look at marriage and the way that I look at relationships is like, we together, like we're in there. Doesn't mean that I'm blind and I'm stupid. Like I get that there are other beautiful, attractive people out there, but I'm here for you. If you're asking me what my sexual orientation is, it's you. That's what it is at the end of the day. So the fact that like all of that kind of happened at that point in time was just like, it was really scary. It's really kind of a low point. It wasn't as low as the previous point, but it's up there in the top 3 for sure. So Noah came and he talked with me, checked in with me, and he's like, bro, I really feel like you need to come to church. Just come with me. And that Sunday I woke up, I was all the way in Milan. I looked at the time. I'm like, damn, I'm gonna be late. Maybe I shouldn't go. Like, no. But I drove all the way there, and I remember on the way there, I hadn't really listened to Christian music in a long time. But I went to Casting Crowns, and like this one song kind of popped up. It's I don't know if this is the name of the song or it's just the lyrics, but Praise You in the Storm, I think is the name of the song, or it's the name of the. But I was listening to that all the way there, tears in my eyes, just feeling it. God, what is going on right now? Like you got me today. So I'm in there. I meet Noah at Dollar General. We end up going to the barn. He shows me the rest of the way, and we're just in there, praise and whatnot. We're up in the front row, and then in comes this dude, Michael, deeper voice than what I would have thought. I'm not necessarily thinking like super high pitched, but I'm like, this is a young cat right here. I'm not expecting. Oh, my name is Michael. Was good. I'm like, this man got octaves deeper than me right now. This is crazy. But he was really cool, really cool. Gave off good vibes for me, and yeah, I did shake your hand because I'm like, I don't know if it's just necessarily a man to man thing, but just it was one of those things like, no, I'm meeting somebody for the first time, like I'm not just gonna fist bump. Like if you're like a teenager or something, I bet. Like, yeah, we fist bump, high five, whatever they got on TikTok these days. But I'm talking to somebody that's chill, somebody that's, we're in the same age bracket at this point. So yeah, it's a cool cat. It's a cool guy. I don't remember exactly what we talked about, but I remember it was a good conversation. Didn't have any bad vibes from that. I remember I think you told me a bit about your YouTube channel and Discord and whatnot. I was like, cool, I need to get on that. I've been procrastinating. I still do. But definitely, yeah, meet Michael definitely was probably one of the best things about Sunday, besides just kind of getting rejuvenated myself. And of course, there were cool people there like Ollie. Love talking with Ollie whenever I can. And Trey's a really good guy, and of course, Pastor Hughes. I have much love for him. Had much love for him for a long time. He's taken care of me in a few different instances here or there. So all in all, really good Sunday, and of course, getting to meet you, really, really spectacular. And it's just, our friendship has just kind of grown from there. Whether we, are looking at each other's Facebook posts and being like, "Bro, I like that," or hitting each other up on Snapchat, which, I had to warn him. I said, listen, my Snapchat versus like Facebook, like these are almost two different things now. I'm wilding on Snapchat. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie. It's not too crazy, but it's out there for sure. And Michael's like, I bet, say less.
Sweet.
So Michael's cool. I've enjoyed our friendship for a good minute, and I'm enjoying the continued growth that we're gonna continue having in this friendship. So I'm down for it for sure.
Yeah. And you kind of mentioned Ollie, which I kind of wanted to talk about this for just a brief moment. Uh, Ollie was actually the one cause so I told Ollie that I wanted to do an interview with you, and Ollie was like, "Yo, man, that'd be a dope interview. I would watch that." So I was like, "You know what? Thank you, Ollie. You just confirmed it." So I hit Ricardo. I was like, "Hey, man, I want to do an interview with you." But see, so he was talking about how he was feeling and all that, and you see, God just works in mysterious ways, man. He does, he does, and something that I saw as Ricardo, he wasn't always there, because then again, you do live in Milan, you know, at that time, or you still do, never know. but the times that he was there, I saw something that was always growing, because when I started going, I was at a bad place as well. And like I was telling Trey, I was like, man, the barn is the place for the brokenhearted. Because like you were saying, man, you went there and you felt something. And man, it's just, I'd see you there. You come in a little late, which is understandable. Worship's going. You come sit in the front right next to me, and Ollie would sit on the other side, and it just went from there, man. And I could feel that your relationship with God was growing. That's what I felt, and man, it was awesome. But to talk into something that I know you're real passionate about, which is that the good old mental health.
Mm,
So I'm an advocate for men's mental health, and because that's something that gets pushed away a lot. But
yeah.
man, I can't remember. I think it was like a few months ago. I had texted you because I had saw one of your Facebook posts, and it hit. It hit. You were talking about depression, and I was like, bro, like right now in this season, I was feeling that. I was like, man, I'm a little depressed. Your post, it helped me. And, you just kept hitting right on the tip of the head with the nail, man. Every time I was feeling some type of way, I go to Facebook. Ricardo made a post. I click on the post. Now, granted, all right, and there's nothing wrong with this, but his posts do be long. So, but before you even get ready to look at his post, you better get a snack. You better get a drink of water. You better prepare yourself. But man, I tell you, it is amazing, and I kind of just want to talk about that briefly, or however long you want to talk about it, because I'm all for it. About what inspires you to continue to make stuff about the mental health.
I got you. I got you. Yeah, Michael, you're definitely right. Like, I ramble. It don't matter if it's word form or voice form. It doesn't matter. Like, especially you get me on something passionate like that. Yeah, we could be here all night. We not
Go
going.
for it.
We not all night. You know, I can definitely go on. But as far as like mental health for me, I think it really became serious for me um, after after I kind of recentered myself
Mm.
in high school and just started branching out more because I was kind of that nomad kid. I wasn't super popular, but at the same time, it's not like I made a whole lot of enemies. So I was starting to get deep into first trying to get my own Bible study situated and just really working on my faith at that point. And I want to say it was my last year. Yeah, senior year. Um, I had a good friend of mine who was on the soccer team who dealt with seizures
Mm.
really bad, and his mom had created this event called the Purple Way 5K, and I mainly went there to run on his behalf simply for the fact that that's something that he struggled with. I wanted to support. And I also didn't want to see what my time would be at the 5K because I've never run one of those before. But it was a really good experience, and it just kind of that really inspired me to look more into mental health because really I didn't know much as far as like what Hollywood shows. People were still getting schizophrenia confused with DID, formerly known as multiple personality disorder.
Mm.
So people were still thinking like those were one and the same. And to learn like, well, schizophrenia deals with a completely different aspect. Like it's fascinating to me because the way that the mind works to try and keep keep the user as on par as possible is so fascinating.
Mm.
Like you talk about, like for instance, you're talking about dissociative identity disorder. Usually, that's something that you can only develop within the early stages of 0 to 5, because at that point, your personality, from what I've researched and looked at, your personality really starts forming within those ages
Mm.
of life. And if you have a lot of traumatic things going on at that point in time, it's almost like your brain's like, all right, stop. Let's take this piece and put it over here. And let's take this piece and we'll put it here. So instead of it all culminating into one thing where you're feeling complex emotions at one time, it branches off into different areas, which of course go do your own research for sure, because I'm dumbing it down as best as I can from what I remember, and I am not a mental health expert. I did not go to school for it. It's just one of those things that I'm really fascinated by. So I try and do my research on it. But to see the brain like do that and be able to you're still able to function. It's just you function in a different manner is really fascinating to me. And then jumping over into something like borderline personality disorder or even bipolar 1 and 2, seeing how that's even on a spectrum.
Yeah.
Because you could have bipolar 1 and have some schizoaffective traits that go with it, or you could be strictly bipolar, or you could be more schizophrenic but have some bipolar tendencies. Like all of those different things are very fascinating to me, not because of the different tragedies that can go on because of them, but because all of those different things, one, don't get the light that they deserve to get. So then it's almost like people are afraid to speak on them.
Mm.
And especially in this culture now, in 2023, everybody wants to be woke. Everyone wants to do this, that, or whatever. They want to say what they want to, they want to say whatever it is that they want to say, regardless if they know.
Yeah.
And when it comes to mental health, I would rather have educated people out there that are like, hey, I'm willing to learn about these different things so that way I can, be better informed and be able to support in a different manner versus like, yeah, we're supporting mental health, especially when it comes to, like you said, men, because a lot of different men get overlooked
Mm-hmm.
because when it comes to emotion, at the very least, and like society is getting a little bit better about it now, but overall society is kind of like, well, you're a man, handle that. Like, what do you mean? Why crying? Why would you even cry about something like that? Like, that's dumb.
Yep.
And it can be even frustrating for, some of the different women in our lives because they're like, well, I'm trying to provide this space, but he just won't emote. And it's not even necessarily because of them per se. Sometimes it can be because sometimes you have a bad experience in a relationship. And with if you have a man that is vulnerable and then opens up and then all of a sudden becomes a huge problem, they're like, all right, you know what? I'm just not going to do that anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not saying all women's fault. I'm just saying sometimes you have a bad experience. You can be like, nah, I'm good. I just don't want to go through that again. But you do have some women that are really trying to, see what's going on with their man and trying to figure out what's happening with them. They're genuinely concerned and want to help. But because of these different experiences and the way that society has portrayed men for the most part for the latter part of the few decades now, um, you have a lot of men that don't want to open up because they don't want to have their feelings discounted and feel like they're just overreacting or they're being too feminine
Mm-hmm.
or they're less of a man, and it's very frustrating to see that um in any culture, even within to get in specifically to like the African American culture,
Yeah.
because I've noticed personally within our area that you even have a lot of parents that are like, depression, that's a white man's problem. What you
Mm-hmm.
talking about depression for? What you got to be depressed about right now? You got clothes on your back, you got food to eat, you got a roof over your head. What you mean you depressed about something right now? You need to go over there and impress me with this homework. That's what I need you to do. So it gets really frustrating to see that and
Mm-hmm.
then it not be talked about. And then you have men out here that are emotionally unintelligent, and because that's the kind of society that we bred. So I feel like it's important to talk about these different things and to understand that it's not just men have feelings too. It's men have feelings that need to be expressed
Mm-hmm.
too. And that's what's really, I feel like that's really the important message, is that men have feelings that need to be expressed too, because if not, then yeah, you do end up with men that are going to be abusive. You do end up with men that are going to try and manipulate. You do end up with men that, you sit there and ask them what's going on, and they give you the stone cold, like, I'm fine, I'm chill. And that gets very frustrating for everybody because on the man side, he's sitting here thinking like, well, I can't open up to her because now it could be a major problem. And
Mm-hmm.
she's getting frustrated with him because it's just like, well, he's not opening up to me. So I don't even feel like I know him.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got couples discourse going on there. And then you start arguing about shit that don't even make sense at that point. One day this guy's aglets are off on his shoe, and now you want to be like, babe, I done told you like 5 times to get the aglets off the floor. Like the last time I finished up, babe, what you worrying about my aglets for? Like you get all sorts of things there. So that's kind of where I've been at, and that's why I talk a lot about it. I haven't written a post in a while, but I try and write as much, especially when it comes to depression, because it's a very general thing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of people can go through depression, whether you're medically diagnosed or not, whether you are a man or a woman. Um, and even with women right now, one of the biggest things that I see trending is postpartum, because postpartum is a much different beast than just regular depression. It's like playing baseball, but like when you're talking about depression, you're talking about little league
Mm-hmm.
and one, whereas with postpartum, you're talking about MLB. Like it's a very different. It's the same game, but it's a very different set of circumstances that go on there, and you know to even see like um, my child's mom go through postpartum during those first 4 to 6 weeks after our son was born was a very different experience
Mm-hmm.
because experiences depression, but to see that postpartum, that was different. It was a much different beast there. So I'm always going to be a big advocate, not just for men,
Mm-hmm.
but just in general,
Yeah.
and whatever whomever I see is really not necessarily suffering, but whoever I feel like is not being heard, I want to learn more about them so that way I can make sure that they're heard. They have a safe space here to be heard.
Yeah.
For me, it's important. I understand what it's like to not be heard and to have your mental health overlooked and to be told like you're not really going through anything or that people have it worse than you, which is like I
Mm.
hate it so much because it doesn't do anything but it doesn't do anything but diminish and devalue what you're going through because you can always look like, oh, well, there are people in Africa that are dying because you're not eating. They're not eating food and this, that, but they're happy and smiling. And I'm like, well, okay, I understand that, but they're not you and you're not them. Whatever you're specifically going through is going to be difficult for you.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever they're going through is going to be difficult for them. And it's not to say we don't care about them,
Yeah.
but simply for the fact, like, whatever like Ricardo's going through is difficult for Ricardo, and that needs to be heard. That needs to be validated. Whatever Michael's going through, Michael's going through that, and it's hard and it's difficult, and that needs to be validated because otherwise, if I just look at you and be like, well, Trey, man, that Trey, he's got it worse than you. I don't know what's going on. You're not gonna feel heard. You're not gonna feel validated. You're gonna feel like, oh, well, maybe I am overreacting, or maybe I'm not as important. And that's not. I don't feel
Mm.
like that's fair in that aspect. So I'm sorry, I am rambling.
No, you good. You good because you're hitting it right on it, man. And I say that, man, because like to break down a little bit, man. You know, things that I related to is when you start talking about when it feels like you're not being heard. I felt that. I felt that to the T because I was going through one of the roughest times of my life, which was actually a year and a half ago, and it was when I was going through what I call 3 months of hell, and it was like
Mm,
3 months where for 3 months every single day nothing was a good day. It was something after another. Dealing with my grandmother being in the ICU on the ventilator back and forth for months, and
mm,
going through the stomach bug and COVID right after each other. It was horrible, and it was just stuff happening, man. To like the last 2 months of that whole thing, uh, my fiance at the time had broken up with me on Christmas Eve,
mm,
uh, and to find out that there was more to that, and that just made it even more worse. And then in March I lost my grandfather, and it's just it was bad. And I would try to tell people like, man, I'm going through something. Yes, I'm leaning on Jesus. But sometimes it's nice to talk to somebody.
yeah,
But during that time, people were like, man, you just gotta get over it. Like, come on now, you're a guy, you gotta get over it. And I had some of my old friends at the time, man, that I thought were my friends. I would try to talk to them about it, like try to like let them bring up the conversation, but the only thing they would want to talk about is what I was gonna do to the guy that started the whole deal with my ex fiance. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
they were all worried about what I was gonna do, and I'm like, bro, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm worried about my future.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came in and ruined it, and yeah, I wanted to kill him. I saw this man. I saw this man at my old church with her.
Mm-hmm.
And I was outside with him. I was leaving to go to my car, and this man was outside by himself. Ricardo, I wanted to take that nine, cock it back, and unload the whole clip I had.
Mm.
But that would have destroyed my reputation. It would have destroyed my life.
Yeah.
And see, something else that you talked about, man, is men being open, about their feelings, and about whatever hell they're going through. A lot of people, a lot of men, and some female, I'm not going to discredit them on what they go through. But even a lot of women and men, they don't talk about it. They don't. And, I try to encourage people to try anything besides harm themselves. If you need to go talk to a therapist, please call the number. If you need to go to the suicide hotline, if you feel like you're about to do something, please by all means go. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if your thing is not Jesus, I pray that you just give him a chance, because for me that was the only thing that gave me true peace. Therapy never did. Meditating, it never did. Because after I got done meditating or going to the therapist, my issues were still there. I was still dealing with it. But man, when
Yeah.
I gave it to Jesus, boy, I ain't never had true peace or happiness before until that moment. But like, I was a perfect example. Last night I was at work, and I was one of my coworkers felt, like he could trust me, and he said, "Hey man, I'm not doing so well mentally," and he said he was kind of depressed, and I was like, "Hey, you know, I'm all here for it. Like, I know you have me on Snapchat. Please, by all means, if you're going through something and you feel like you can't talk to nobody, please hit me up, please." You can vent to me for hours about whatever it is you're going through, whatever it is. I'll listen. If you want my input, I'll give it. If not, go for it. You know, but I was telling him, I was like, look, man, I could tell you all these things. I could tell you, hey, try Jesus. Try going to therapy. Try doing everything in your power. I could tell you all these things, but only you can take that first step and try to
Mm-hmm.
better yourself. And I told him, I said, look, man, I'm a vulnerable person. That's how God is. That's what God told me to do, because He said your vulnerability can either change or impact someone's life. So I don't know what possessed me to do it, but I told him about my addiction. I had an addiction to pornography for 10 years, from the age
Mm.
of 8 to 18. You know, I don't know what possessed me to do it, but I did it. And ain't no telling what the Holy Spirit did with that, but it was something. But man, like I said, you just hit it right on, Ricardo, right on. Everything that you said, man, was needed. Even if you think you rambled, man, not once did you ramble. Just hitting it, man, right on time. So something that you said when we were talking about the depression, which I kind of found interesting when you told me about it, which was a while back ago at the barn. That there was I can't remember all fully, but it was a website that you would post like stories.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, talk about that, cause that's interesting. That's interesting.
Um. Well, initially I wasn't going to do it, but I was posting a lot on Facebook a couple years back, which long post, as you'd say, very long posts. I won't hide that they are, but somebody said, "Why don't you like start a blog and
Mm.
have a base website?" So it's Point of Vision. I think it's Point of Vision TM.com. Um, but essentially, I discuss a lot of different things. The posts that are on there now, one of them talks about um, gender dysphoria. There's a couple on there that talk about suicide.
Mm.
I know there's one of those is very controversial because it talks about medically assisted suicide, medically assisted death, from a from a doctor or physician that would practice that. It's something that is practiced in some portions of Canada, and there may be a couple places in the United States that practice that particular affair. Which a lot of people, as soon as you hear that, are like, "Whoa, what do you mean? Whoa, hold on, what do you mean a medically assisted suicide? What is that?" So I essentially try and take some of these more controversial topics and speak on them, whether I agree with them, I don't agree with them,
Yeah.
and I try and do as much research as I can, unless it's just a personal thing. I have a couple of personal posts on there where I'm talking more in depth about different things that have gone on in my life. Um, there's one post in there that I did talk about suicide from a storytelling standpoint because I enjoy writing stories, and it was just a good way to do that in a very vulnerable way.
Mm.
Um, that I definitely gotta get active on that again. It's been a while since I put the pen down to the paper, but yeah, point of vision. I talk about a lot of different things, and I also promote a lot with DoTerra. Very amazing tool system to have. One of the best things that I've gotten into within the past like couple years has just been doTERRA because of the natural solutions, learning how to use these solutions and seeing what they can do as far as helping me creatively and
Mm.
helping others in a creative and even a mental mind state. Because the way that health works is everything is interconnected together.
Mm-hmm.
So if physically I'm not doing too hot, that can affect me mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all that. If I'm spiritually not doing too hot, that can manifest in a physical aspect. If I'm mentally not doing too well, my bones may creak a little bit more. I'm going to feel extra tired. I'm not going to be taking care of myself as much as I need to. So, all health is very connected. And I love the fact that on Point of Vision, I can promote something like doTERRA because it's very much more in a preventative aspect. It's like, hey, we are trying to prevent you from being um, sick in any capacity, really. Versus where you go for medicine or you go, for instance, you go to therapy. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to therapy because I've got something that needs to be solved right now, and I'm not discounting therapy, but I feel like there are several different options out there that you can do to prevent yourself from having to make these extra doctor's visits and to have to see a therapist or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, once again, I don't knock those different things. I'm not knocking science by any means, but I feel like if there's a way to prevent it and a way for you to grow, um, so that way you can be a healthier, happier you, then why not? And of
Yeah.
course, why not talk about controversial topics? Like those different things don't need to be taboo. Um, Obviously, there's a way to talk about them. Um,
Yep.
you don't sugarcoat. I don't feel like you have to sugarcoat anything, but there's definitely a way to talk about certain things that is digestible for other people.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, really get into, but why not talk about these different things? Like, why not talk about the insurrection on January 6th? Like, why do we have to be afraid to talk about that kind of thing? Why not talk
Yeah.
about the state of the government and what it's like? Why not talk about the state of Christianity
Mm.
here in the United States and how a lot of it seems very businessy and doesn't feel very much like God is in it? Like,
There
exactly the
it
point.
is. There it
That's what we
is.
call vision.
Yep. Yep. That's a kicker right there. That is a kicker. But so I want to talk about something that I see on the regular that you're passionate about, and when I look at it, I see that this man, I know for a fact, goes there because that's where he feels like himself. You in my eyes and how I look at it, it's a place to where you go to let go and let God be God. I could just sense that because it's Pinston. Am I saying it right?
And sin.
Pinson. Okay, Pinson. And a lot of my friends have gone there. They say it's beautiful. I have not been yet, cause that's a dedicated hour and a half drive. But
Oh,
man, if you could please talk about that because I believe that me from like I said, seeing it, I believe that that's your place. That's your place. So if you could talk about it a little bit, what made you start going there and what makes you continue to go there?
mm. Well, what made me start going there was actually my upline in doTERRA and also my friend too, McKenna. She was hosting an event there that was kind of centered around doTERRA, but also centered around just releasing and letting go. And I hadn't been to Pinson in like years. I think I remember one field trip there. So I was like, all right, I'll go. I've been going to Liberty Garden. It's nice, but it's not the same. It's not the same thing. So I was like, I'll go ahead and go. I went there, and I for whatever reason we got onto a place called the Boardwalk right there, over by the Fork Deer River, and we were sitting there just kind of meditating a little bit and using our oils to kind of get centered and get grounded. And in that moment, like I was feeling it. I I had a lot of things emotionally going on. You know, I talked about it with the group at that point in time, and this overwhelming sense of like peace was just it was amazing. So that has been my place for a minute. Usually, if you see any pictures of me there, it's usually a Saturday or a Sunday, and I try to go in the morning because they open. I think they open at 7. I don't go. I haven't been that early yet, but I do try to go early in the morning because I know I'm going to be there all day. I've been there walking around, and there was like maybe a light like mist. I sat on one of the benches. I fell asleep there for like an hour or two.
Wow.
Not because not because it was just like I was that tired, but I was just taking everything in at that point in time. And moving moving forward through that, I really started to feel a lot of power in Pinson because anytime that I go there, the reason's always different. Like I had an instance where I was talking with somebody. We were flirting a little bit back and forth, and my heart kind of went a little faster than my head.
Mm.
Things kind of ended, and I didn't necessarily know how to process that. But when I went there, I just was able to freely like vocalize because sometimes for me, in order for me to really understand the feeling that I'm feeling, I have to talk about it,
Mm.
whether it be with myself or with somebody else. And at Pinson, it's so open and vast that I don't have to worry about somebody behind me thinking that I'm weird. And even if they do, it's like they're like several feet back, so it's not like they can hear what I'm saying. And a majority of the time, I end up like I'm by myself, but I don't feel like I'm alone.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I can just do what I do because for me, nature is just nature. Nature does not celebrate with me. It does not berate me. It doesn't tear me down. It doesn't necessarily do anything, but it just allow me to exist and to recenter. So I'm able to just really take in like all of that, all of that energy, whether it be good or bad, feel what it is and
Mm-hmm.
gain a good understanding of what it is.
Yeah.
And then there's a place called Saul's Mound, 72 feet up. I call it the center of the universe. I'll go up there. I'll stand for maybe 10, 15 minutes and just really just let everything go. whether it be good, bad. It's like the ultimate reset for me because at that point in time, you know, I give it up to God, give it up to the universe, let them have it. Like at this point in time, you do what you got to do. I've taken these emotions, I've felt what they are, I understand them, and now that I have an understanding of them, let me just send that energy back out because should I keep all this negative energy in, I'm not going to be able to support, my friends or my family because I'm going to be so in my head about me and trying to get that situated
Yeah.
that, there's going to be somebody that may or may not need me to be that ear or give them words of observation or words of experience. I'm not going to be present at that point.
Yep.
But I also can't just be super happy all the time either because this one, it's not realistic, and two, I'm also not present because now I'm still like I'm feeling myself. I'm all ego at that point. I'm like, "Oh, look at me, this, that, or whatever." Attention to everybody else around me. Um, so it's a really beautiful time. I've explored that area from top to bottom, and there's still places that like still surprise me. Like I think I've been out there. There was a really bad storm at one point in time. I went out there, and because I have a very nice weatherproof case, I went out there, was walking. I got drenched. It was soaking wet. Was glad I put my boots on. But I was trekking through. There's an opening with one of the mounds there. And I don't know what possessed me, but I felt it like building up in my chest. I let out a howl super loud. It reverberated. It felt like I was a little kid again, just exploring it felt like I was exploring like Narnia.
Yeah.
It was really beautiful. It was a really beautiful moment. I think I have that on Facebook somewhere. But it was a really beautiful time. So usually when host events outside, I'm always hosting them at Penn. I got to change it up a little bit. So like you said, you got that hour and a half drive. So
Yeah.
I keep that some of the doTERRA events that I'm doing in the future. But man, if you can go out there, just I say go out there with a ready heart, ready spirit, open mind, and just it is a perfect place to practice being present with yourself
Mm.
and learning about like what makes you you and what you need at that particular point in time in order to be the best you because it's so free, it's so open, very like whether you believe in God or not, whether you're a spiritualist or not, like there's so much power there. Like you're not going to be able to not come out there changed as long as you come in with the right mentality, you come in with the right kind of heart, you go in there close hearted. Yeah, it's not going to do nothing for you. Same thing with church. You can go in church if you
Ooh.
you're
Okay.
not you, you're not going to be ready for it. You're going to
Okay,
be ready for God.
Ricardo. Okay, I see you. I see you. Okay. Hey, spit the facts, man. Spit the facts. See, so man, the beauty of this, and you talked about how you said that you felt this built up in you to howl, right? This is a beautiful moment because, oh God, I think it was earlier. I think it was sometime last week. But you made a video on Snapchat with you and your son. Y'all were howling, bro. That your son is adorable. Your son is adorable for real. That I'm not gonna lie. Look. That was the cutest howl I ever heard a little kid do. I'm not gonna lie with you. I was like, ah, man, that's so cute. Look at him. But no, man, man, ah, but ah. It's awesome, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I enjoyed this. If is there anything else you'd like to talk about? Anything
Um,
anything off the top of the dome?
um, um, honestly, if there's anybody that is interested in, because I've talked about doTERRA a little bit, if there's anybody that's interested in what that is and what that entails. Because some people are like, I heard about it, but like I don't really know. Like y'all do oils and stuff. I don't know what you like. You sacrificing pigs on that side? Like what you got going on? It's nothing like that. I can get you situated. Just let me know. I've been working with doTERRA for a long time. So there are questions that you have as far as like, what do these oils do? Why are they better than the ones that you can find at Walmart? What makes them so special? Gotcha. And as far as like being able to incorporate that into like your spiritual walk, your mental health walk, your creative walk, even like there's so many different avenues that we can go in order to help with something like writer's block or to help you with getting that spiritual release or just being better in tune,
Mm.
especially for my men out there, being better in tune with your emotions and getting that emotional intelligence. So that way you know how to communicate out there to, whether it be your partner, whether it be your best friend, uh, if you are close with your family, because I know not everybody is, but if you are close with your family, you can communicate those different things. So that's something that I do. Other than other than that,
You ain't got
hmm,
nothing.
I mean, I there are several different things, but I don't know. I don't know what else to bring up.
Yeah, so I got a question. All right, and this may lead into a funny story I could say. So the oils you talk about, right? So is that like oh God, what's that mint one? The eucalyptus? Is it like that type of oil?
Uh, I'd have to check, but uh, there is I think there is a eucalyptus. I once again I got to check that because it's been a
Yeah,
minute since I've looked at the full roster.
yeah,
But because
yeah.
I got one here. So this one is called Breathe. Hold it up to the camera. Yeah.
Okay.
It's called Breathe. And on the side of it, because some people are like, well, because some people are like, oh, I want to know what exactly is in my oils. You can turn every bottle to the side. And I don't know that you can see that, but on the side there, you can read all the ingredients in there. Very natural ingredients. You're not getting anything cut with like a chemical, an oil, acetone, or anything like that. But these are very pure. And with breathe specifically, that one helps with opening up your airways, which
Mm.
can do a lot for you. Like physically, like you go outside and you happen to be congested because there's a lot of pollen out. It's really good to open up your nose, your throat. Um, if you're looking at a more spiritual kind of tone, Uh, one thing that I like to do is I think it's called box breathing. I don't know that I do it necessarily right, but essentially you take a big deep breath in and hold that breath for like 4 to 5 seconds, and then you release, and then you do the same at the bottom. Hold your breath for I think 4 to 5 seconds, release, and I do that kind of breathing with this oil, so that way I can be present in that moment. And not only is it physically opening up my airways, but sometimes it brings up things that I'm not even like things that are just running in the background. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even attention to it, brings it to the front. I'm like, oh, okay, let me handle this and let me close this tab so
Yeah.
that way I can be better prepared. So there's several different tools in doTERRA. It's not just oils. You've got toothpaste, you've got laundry detergents, you have one of the biggest things are the different supplements there, which are I feel like the earlier that you start taking your health seriously, whenever you get older, you don't have a whole lot of things that you're working on. Like at
Yeah.
that point in time, you go ahead and like, for instance, you start working out at 20 and you have a decent workout routine that you stick to. By the time you're 50 or 60, you're not sitting there with bad knees and you have to do all these different exercises to strengthen these muscles up. You already have them up. You good to go.
Yeah.
But
And then you feel good. Then you get arms like that. Well, hey,
Ray, hey,
hey.
listen, I'm trying to get quite there yet. I'm trying to get like you.
Oh, but see, no, see, I asked about that because the funny story is, so Back in high school, it was actually my senior year before COVID hit. Cause I graduated in 2020.
Mm.
So bad year to graduate or be in high school. Uh, yeah, whole senior prom out the window. Oh, senior skip day. Nah, fam, we went on spring break and never came back.
Nasty.
Yeah, but nah, it was like it was my English teacher, and I told her I had a headache, and if I can go to the nurse and get a Tylenol, and she was like, oh, I got some eucalyptus oil. You could put on right here and on your temple. I was like, okay, sure, why not? Give it a shot. Man, I put that eucalyptus on the spot she told me to. You want to talk about a headache that got worse? The headache got worse. It got to the point to where I had to go to the bathroom to try to wash it off. It got bad. Like I looked Asian because my eyes just squinted to the point where you couldn't see them. Oh god, bro, it got worse. I told her, I said I can't smell anything now because my nose just decided to go crazy on me. And she was
Oh,
like, I don't know, it works for most of my students. Most? It ain't work for me.
nasty.
but man, thank you for doing this. But before I wrap things up with you, is there anything else that you'd like to talk about? Like I said, off the top of your dome, and if you could think of anything that could go into the description for people to go check out.
Uh, well, for the description, you can find me on Facebook. Oh, I don't know why my little battery thing came there, but on Facebook, you can look me up under Ricardo Barrett. You'll see a picture of me. I'm not gonna have the same hair because it's getting cut at this point. We're restarting. We're starting anew for a few different reasons. One of those reasons being I was dumb enough to overprocess my hair, and some of it fell out. So we can't be out goofy. I'm not on that yuck business. Sorry. But yeah, you can follow me on Facebook. I post a lot on there. I talk about a lot of different experiences on there, and that's probably one of the best ways to keep up with me, especially when it comes to events like doTERRA,
Mm-hmm.
because I try and plan things out at least 2 weeks to a month in advance, so that way people are not like, well, I got to put in a 2 week notice at work, and you didn't say nothing until last week. Nah, you got a month, fam. You got a month. Figure it out. Don't make no excuses. You can also go on to Point of Vision, pointofvisiontm.com. Always check that out. I will be updating that here soon. It's just I got to get a few things done with work, a few things done with some other things, and I'll be updating that page with just more doTERRA stuff, uh, more posts because there's always something going on in the world. Um, and then yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it as far as like description stuff. As far as anything else that I wanted to speak on, definitely be safe out there. Be careful. You are a valid human being. You deserve to be heard. Um, I would recommend that if you do not find you at least one or two people out there that you can really trust and confide to, somebody that's not going to give you that judgment zone,
Mm.
because it's very important to have. It doesn't have to be family. A lot of people are like, oh, well, blood's thicker than water. Well, blood can also be rubbed out with the right kind of peroxide. So it doesn't have to be family, but definitely find those one or two people in your life that you can really open up to, because everybody needs somebody to talk to at one point or another.
Mm-hmm.
And to not have that person or those people there, I mean, it'll drive you mad. You'll feel like it's you against the world.
Yep.
And that can lead you to a lot of dark places out there. So, regardless of whatever it is you believe, like you had talked about earlier, it's like, yeah, I'm trying to lean on Jesus, but sometimes I need somebody to talk to. Who knows? Maybe Jesus is trying to put a couple people in your life so that way you can talk to those different people and get yourself situated. Sometimes Jesus is not going to sit there and talk to you one on one. Maybe he's got a grocery run with the Holy Spirit he's got to take care of. So he's putting these two people in your life to get you situated. So take some time, find those people because they are very important. I have a total, I think, of, let's see, I have two people that I tell pretty much everything to, and they're not, they're not related to me,
Yeah.
but I do consider them family. They're very special people in my life that I hold near and dear. So I recommend doing that. I recommend going outside, get in touch with nature. You don't have to be a tree hugger by any means, but go outside, feel what the sun feels like, see what
Mm.
the wind is like. If it's raining and you have the opportunity to, obviously don't go out there and get yourself sick, but hear what the rain is doing, feel what the rain is doing, being present in those moments. So that way you can have these different pockets of like happiness that you can draw on. And all in all, I don't know, just be good and decent human beings out there, whatever that looks like for you. Because world's already tough enough as it is. We don't need to be extra tough on each other out here.
Mm. Spitting facts. Spitting facts. All right. So for anybody who's watching this, all right, y'all need to blow up the comment section and be like, Ricardo, you need to get into the rapping business because, bro, through this whole interview, this man has spit bars and he doesn't even know it. You could just see me going like, that's a bar. That's a bar. Oh man. But no, thank you, Ricardo, for doing this, man. It means a lot to me. God, I love interviewing people, man. Just getting to know them. A little bit about them. What they like to do, stuff like that, man. And all. Thank you for real for doing this with me, and it's been fun. We've been here for an hour and 17 minutes. It doesn't even feel like that. But we've been here for an hour and 17 minutes, and I'm not complaining about it one bit. Not at all.
Nice, nice. Always a pleasure. I will do this again at some point if you like.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
down for it.
For sure, for sure. But y'all go make sure y'all find this man on Facebook. I'm gonna get with him after this to put the link in the descriptions for some of the stuff. But thank you again, man, for doing this for me and with me, cause it's been fun. But thank y'all for watching the video. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Go check out the other two channels. The AR-73 channel, we about to hit 200 on there. And the gaming channel, we are close to 20. So, hey, thank y'all for all the support and rocking with us. And I'm going to catch y'all on the flip side. Y'all take it easy now.